Fair warning, this is gonna get a little dark. There have been countless times where I've met people in public places, they would offer me a drink and then be taken back when I'd ask for just a soda or a water. They'd ask, "Why don't you drink?" with such shock in their voices. Sometimes they'd even ask, "Oh, how long have you been sober?" as if it were a recent thing that I'd started. I'd answer that question with, "My whole life." Sometimes people say the dumbest things in response. How it isn't very grown up to not drink, or that I'm boring, or that I'm probably a victim of childhood trauma. Even if that last part may be the case, it's nobody's business except for mine. And it's not the end-all be-all to why I don't drink. First and foremost, I can't stand the taste of anything with alcohol in it. Alcohol pretty much ruins the taste of anything it touches. It doesn't matter how sweet the drink is, even a daiquiri or a margarita gets ruined with just one shot mixed in. Just give me a Mountain Dew. It'll energize me, and it'll taste pretty fucking good. Best of all, it'll only cost a fraction of that wine glass you're ordering, and it won't affect my ability to drive home. Obviously, I wouldn't know any of this if I hadn't at least tried it. When you're a kid, you want to try whatever the adults are doing. You know how kids take a sip of their parents' beer when no one's looking? Yeah, I've done that a couple times when I was a kid. I've even sampled Pinot Grigio at an uncle's wedding once. I threw it away after one sip. Also, I think I might be blessed with some sort of intolerance to alcohol. There was one time where I ordered a margarita, but forgot to order it virgin. It tasted so bad that I stopped trying to drink it after about 4 sips, and those 4 sips had me throwing up the next morning. I never made that mistake ever again. I'm pretty health conscious, and the amount of sugar and calories in alcoholic beverages is nuts. I've seen so many people post pictures of all the weight they lose from just quitting drinking, and it makes me glad that I never started. I've done videos of the Prague guy character where his whole thing is drinking wine, and I've used wine bottles for the videos, but the majority of the time the wine in the glass is replaced with something else, like grape juice or ginger ale. Sometimes I'll put the glass to my lips, but not open my mouth, so I'm not even drinking anything. There was also that video, Days Inspired by Metal, where I'm running around with a Budweiser can. No lie, I dumped it out, rinsed it with water, and poured Mountain Dew in the can. I just thought the beer would be funny for the video. For the record, I don't have anything against people who drink as long as they're not hurting anyone. I don't think they're bad people, and for normal people there's more to life than just drinking. They know this already. There are plenty of good people who drink that aren't the village idiots. You know, drugs and alcohol are often blamed for the shitty behaviors of some people, but ultimately I find that drugs and alcohol just amplify the worst qualities in people. Like when someone starts to say obnoxious things after downing an entire wine bottle. Those thoughts had to have already been in someone's head before they even came out. They just lacked the courage to say so beforehand. I also feel like society encourages not taking care of yourself, and I feel like it encourages escaping your problems rather than solving them. That's what a lot of people drink for, to escape their problems. At the risk of sounding uppity, I'd rather solve my problems than escape them. A good album might lessen the effects of whatever stress I'm dealing with, and at least I won't wake up feeling physically sick from an album. One time, I started a new job and was making chit-chat with the coworker next to me. He was wanting to know things about me, like what town I lived in, how old I was, etc. Then he asked if I drank. No. Do you do drugs? No. Do you do pills? No. Do you smoke cigarettes? No. Well, what do you do? What, you've never heard of exercising? Walking around bookstores? Going to shows? Going to goth night and dancing until exhaustion? For many small towns, that's all there is to do, is drink. No dog parks, no skating rinks, no bowling alleys, just tons of bars. You end up in an area with depressed people with little or no hobbies, stuck venting about life. I feel especially bad for kids of alcoholics. They have no choice but to watch their parents act like idiots. The thing is, a lot of people lack self-awareness and don't appreciate how their actions affect others. The excuse I heard growing up was, "Oh, I'm not driving anywhere or going out in public. I'm in my own house and I'll do whatever the fuck I want." Sure, you may not be making an ass of yourself in town, but you don't have to make everyone at home suffer either. And sometimes it becomes a cycle. Kids of alcoholics think that their parents drinking and breaking things is normal. Then they grow up doing the same thing. For me, I didn't realize how bad it was until I left home and told stories. People would respond to these stories with, "You know that's not normal, right? that would have never happened at my house. Even if the kids become gung-ho against drinking because of the stuff that they deal with, there can still be a lot of residual damage they have to address later in life. Among the worst of it being opinions and commentary from other family members when you decide to set limits or stop participating altogether. After all, where were they in their opinions when all of these things were happening to you? Fortunately, the solution to this problem is quite simple. Just stop answering the phone. They'll get the idea eventually. Not drinking is a hill that I will happily die on. Does it affect my social life? Real friends wouldn't make you feel bad about not drinking. If anyone gives me a hard time about it, fuck them. I don't want them around anyway. I don't even want to date anybody who drinks. Maybe a glass of wine every couple months, like if we go to a nice dinner. That's one thing. But I don't want that shit in my house. So if I'm on any dating websites or if someone's interested in me and I see that they drink like crazy, I turn that down immediately. Sure, it's cost me some company over the time, but I'd rather be in solitude than be miserable. Alcohol has had such a negative presence in my life that I have no tolerance for it. Being around it may not have been a choice when I was a wee lad, but I sure as shit have a choice in it now. It doesn't make me feel bad to miss out on drunk people that are acting stupid. And their smell, and their beer guts, that's so unattractive. And then there are people who go through phases. They drank and partied through college but mess up their health as a result and struggled to quit drinking. I say it's easier if you don't start to begin with. There's a lot of information out there as to how and why it's bad for you. It just blows my mind that people develop health and financial problems from drinking and drugs and then act shocked from it. Like, really? You didn't know? Also, can we ban the why don't you drink question? I realize that some people are just making conversation, but there isn't exactly a polite way of explaining all of this. Sometimes I just say, because it tastes like shit, and stop there. People can do whatever they want with their bodies as long as it doesn't affect me. Just don't push your stupid ideas on me. I've had people go, oh well, if you're worried about the taste then you can get your money's worth with local breweries. Shut the fuck up with that shit. Now what do I think of banning alcohol? Seems like a good idea, right? Less abused children, less abused spouses, less people getting killed by drunk drivers. The Italian mob got their big rise in America during the Prohibition period. A big reason for that is because they had alcohol to sell. Banning alcohol, taking away people's vices, that's not going to work. When people have a strong enough hunger for something, they'll stop at nothing to get it. And what do you know? With the rise of crime and a bad economy, alcohol was made legal again. People are going to do whatever they're going to do, and you just gotta stay in your lane. Eventually, you'll meet others that align with your values. Being a musical guy, I read all these stories about my favorite musicians that have died from alcohol poisoning and drug problems. But even the ones that lived, the stories they tell about some of the stuff they did on their binges were just despicable. Then I'd see families get torn apart and ruined by drugs and alcohol, and it made me go, why in the hell would anyone want to start any of that shit to begin with? And they always think that they have it under control, but it slowly inches its way up, and people will go great lengths to kid themselves. On a final note, for anyone recovering, you got this, I respect you. It's not the easiest thing in the world to quit, so keep it up. And to anyone stuck in situations where they have to deal with alcohol affecting them, it's not going to be forever. But you also don't have to sink down with anyone's misery either. So for now, just find your pleasures where you can.